Okay, great. We're ready to start. Our weekly webinar on Propy is live again. Thank you so much for everyone joining this session. This will be a very interesting one about very hot markets, New York City and Miami. And what are the changes that are happening right now during the pandemic, when we know that many people are actually going away from urban high density areas. So we will ask our amazing guests here, Matt and Luciane, about what they're observing, as well as how they work with sellers, why sellers prefer to work with them, and how we can use technology to make transactions, to make the work with consumers easier. So thank you so much, Matt and Luciane, for joining us today. Could you please introduce yourself?
Luciane?
Hi, you're such a gentleman having me here. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, for your time. I guarantee you learned something today. So if you learn at least one thing, I guess it'll be worth your time. My name is Luciane Serifovic. I'm the CEO and founder of Luxian International Realty. I am the first virtual luxury real estate company based out of New York City. And I've only been in business for about a year independently, but I have overall 18 years of experience.
Thank you, Luciane. Matt?
Hi, Natalia and Propy team and my colleague Luciane. Thank you all for having me. I appreciate the time that you've given me. I work with Engel and Völkers. We're a luxury real estate firm. My specific shop is in Miami. We cater to high net worth and ultra high net worth individuals in the luxury space. And I predominantly work in the Coral Gables and Coconut Grove markets. I've been in the business in one facet or another for about 15 years, going on 16. And I'm happy to join you all today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Matt, very much. So for our guests that are now watching us live on Facebook and Twitter, can we start actually from elaborating about the situation on the market right now? Do you see sellers coming back and buyers coming back? What is the dynamics right now?
Yeah, so most listings are off market. I would say 90% of properties have been taken off market because most agents could not show, especially because most agents didn't have the experience on how to conduct business virtually. The only listings that are still on the market are for sellers that really have to sell, or the ones that have an agent who has the experience to be able to conduct business virtually. So overall, most people are waiting on the sidelines until things open up. And we're opening up in New York City, phase 1, the 13th, and phase 2 on the 22nd. So I do believe a lot of properties will come back on the market once things open up again.
Do you think it will impact the prices?
I wish I knew and had a crystal ball, but I do know, look, a lot of people lost their jobs, but majority of people still have their jobs, you know? So I have listings right now that I have bidding wars. So there's a demand, there's still a demand. And I have listings that I'm getting inquiries every day. So there's still buyers out there. So the question is, will people still be interested in buying at the current market rate? And it remains to be seen.
Absolutely. Matt, what is your opinion?
Well, first of all, I want to commend Luciane for, I think pre-COVID, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. You were already well established as somebody that could show properties virtually. Is that right?
That's correct. My first transaction was with a Mets player, actually, and we did everything virtually. So no one knew what virtual was when I started, and now everyone understands it. So,
well, I commend, yeah, for sure. I commend you for being prepared. I had sold a couple of properties pre-COVID virtually. But I certainly wasn't an expert in being able to market virtually. So initially in South Florida, like most places, I believe, around the country and world, the reaction was, let's see what happens. And in that process, people did take their properties off the market. I don't think anybody knew how it was going to unfold in our respective cities. In Miami specifically, I actually am surprised at what's happening. If we turn back time and and I had a prediction then, it wouldn't have been very accurate to what's actually happening. What I mean by that is, yes, we slowed down for a little bit of time. We did need to abide by new laws and restrictions with showing properties. So in the short term, that hindered us. What we didn't expect is our feeder markets like New York, Illinois, California, specifically to get into a low income tax state or no income tax state at all, being in Florida, we always had people desiring to live in South Florida. What we didn't expect is the wave of people that really wanted to move to South Florida. So with respect to your question, Natalia, about prices, I do agree with Luciane. It's a little too early to tell, but I will tell you that our markets have never been this active. That doesn't mean that properties are selling extremely fast. It just means that the supply and demand is in my market, especially with Coral Gables and Coconut Grove, depending on the data, can really become a balanced market. That means it's not a buyer's market, it's not a seller's market. Prior to COVID, in most markets, it was a buyer's market because of the inventory. So we're pleasantly surprised. Of course, we want everybody to be able to rebound financially and with good health. But the health of the market is very high right now in South Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. And both of you have very different strategy on winning the listings, win the sellers, conduct the transactions themselves. And this is why I'm really excited to have you both on this webinar. And Luciane, we met with you, I think, at IMA New York more than a year ago. And even though you have over 15 years of experience in real estate, you launched your company a year ago. It's a one-year-old baby, and you already have so great traction. I know that you're a tech-driven one, definitely. When we have calls with you, you are not afraid just to share the screen and show what you're using, educating others, and not being afraid to try technology. And we actually have a question here for you from Michael Longshot. And guys here on the panel, on the chat on the Zoom, please shoot your questions right here, as well as if you are watching us on Facebook, on Twitter, put your questions there and my team will tell me the questions you ask. So Luciane, what technologies do you use to actually conduct your business virtually? And the question from Michael is, what do you use to show virtual tours?
So I have tried a lot of different tools, but what I've found is that the easiest tool to use and download is Zoom. And what I love about Zoom also is that you can have people pre-register. So Google Meet is another option. However, I do love the ease of use with Zoom and how for only a very small fee per month, you can have people pre-register. So you actually have a very clear information instead of the old, show sheets that sign up sheets that you have on the open houses. Digitally, you get someone's information. So I've had as many as 18 people register for my virtual open houses, and Zoom have been the primary software I've used so far.
How about the 3D tours and staging, yes, virtual staging?
Yes, so I've always done this, but most sellers didn't care before. But I always do professional photography with high quality images, high definition, so you can see the windows. So I always invest a lot more in my listings because I want to provide the best for my sellers. But I also create videos, and then I do video with narration, including a bird's eye view of the town with narration. And then I also use a virtual tour that you can use VR goggles that you can see inside the property. And I use a software called Room. It's the similar software to Metaport, but Room is inexpensive, and that's why I've decided it's a new software with new hardware. Before with Metaport, you have to spend $5,000 with the machine, with the camera, and with this, it's a little device that costs $60, and you put it in a tripod, and it has the same. I wouldn't say it's exactly the same, but I would say 90% of the quality that you'll get with the Metaport.
And I think both companies, Matterport and Astrorom, actually have also the software to allow you to do those tours with your iPhone. And we actually made a demo, a very short 2-3 minute demo with Alex too on one of our first webinars, first or second webinar. So guys, if you want to check out how virtual tours work, please go on our recordings and listen to them. And thank you, Luciane, for that. Matt, with you, it was an interesting experience. You are a champion, a technology champion at Engel Völkers, a brokerage in Miami, which we're signing with. The broker owner is Irvin Padron, and you are the first one to actually try and test the platform and go there, show the sellers, the buyers, how really it works, how it brings transparency. And the funny thing is that we actually got connected very randomly by LinkedIn. I had this request on LinkedIn from a blockchain enthusiast. And he said, hey, I really liked your article on Forbes. And I responded like, okay, thank you very much. And then he wrote me back again, like, can I help you somehow? I know it's hard to have the adoption of technology in real estate. I'm not in this industry, but I really would love to help. And I said, okay, if you have any friends in real estate, please reach out to them, connect us. And this will be very helpful for our company. So he reached out to Matt, and this is how we got connected. And then we got connected to Irving, the broker owner, and the things just started to roll out. And even one of the members of Engel Völkers Miami got Propy tokens some time ago. So that was a great experience to see this united team, Matt, and you really to be the champion in the firm. So what my question is, why were you looking for a new technology? And why, like, what attracted you to connect a startup, a technology startup, especially when we're talking for such a cutting edge technology like blockchain?
In short, it's because I feel that there's a constant pressure for disruption. You know, I think we all know that everyone that's on this call that there are companies that can get data a lot faster. Our consumers and potential clients, current clients, are using that technology. So I think it's imperative for us to continue to stay in the game and create value in order to have the chance to be hired by these clients. You have to be familiar with it. I am always learning. I will tell you that my broker that Natalia mentioned, Irving Padron, he's a force with this stuff, and he's been talking about it for years, and he's right. The things are changing rapidly, and if you're in the days of showing a property or taking a phone call and opening the door and showing that and not creating any additional value, I think it's inevitable that over time, people will find less value in us, and it's going to be harder for us to stay in the game and of course be successful at that. So technology in general, I think it's important to at least understand, to leverage when you can. Propy, I don't know if you wanted me to talk about my feelings about Propy. You know my feelings very well. But it provides one more alternative, and in South Florida, there's not a lot of people familiar with it. So we looked at it as not only an advantage for the consumer and people involved with respect to transparency and the seamless ability to be able to move information around, but also because we're going to be the first people bringing it to these clients' attention. So it only adds value to all of us, including our clients especially.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with this short introduction about the markets and to the work of Matt and Luciane, I'd love to move forward to actually giving the tips for our audience, for our realtors and brokerages, how we can win more listings, how we can win sellers. If we're sitting with a potential seller, what we should tell them that we will really provide this cutting edge technology that is able to close the deal, to promote the deal. And even like within my personal network, I had this case recently. A friend of mine reached out and shared that they have signed with a listing agent 3 months ago, but the listing agent was not ready to conduct business during the shelter in place. So they had just to wait. And he had quite a lot of pressure because of his family. He was moving, in the process of moving to another town. So for him, it was critical for their family to actually do the sale process. So here we have a number of realtors that have been asking us in the last webinars, what are the practices, how we can sell the properties with using technology, using other tactics. Also, after you share your thoughts, Matt and Luciane, we'll have Alex too to share the strategy on how brokers can use Propy offers to also have it as a benefit point when they talk to prospect sellers. Okay, so Matt, would you love to start?
Sure, no problem. For me, and I think everybody has their own way of doing business, specifically for me and within our firm, the philosophy within our firm, but also in Miami, when I got into the real estate business, especially the transactional side, I wanted to do transactions everywhere. I wanted to do transactions in Miami Beach. I wanted to do transactions in Fort Lauderdale, and that's about 45 miles from Miami and all over Miami. And what I learned is that I can't be an expert in all of those areas. So over time and through the philosophy that we have at the firm, through Irving for sure, is to be an expert in a specific area or type of property. It could even be condos or single family homes. And once myself, and I have a business partner as well, decided to become experts in certain price points in our market, which are Coral Gables and Coconut Grove, over time, that is a huge part of our value. So if I'm trying to get a listing from a potential client and I'm in a presentation, a lot of times they know who we are, which is something we certainly appreciate, but we also know everything that's happening in the market. That's the reason we're sitting with them at their table in the first place. So I think the first advice that I could give you is become an expert. Be an expert at something so that you can provide the most value for your client in return. The next thing that I believe is extremely important is people are hiring myself and my business partner and people within our firm because we see ourselves as advisors. I have a lot of experience in real estate in different facets. So my objective is to help these people. I'm not looking to just sign the listing, put it on the MLS, put together a marketing package and sell it. I need to cater the specific strategy towards each and every client. So in order to do that, I need to know what their goals are. Why are they selling? Are they downsizing? Are they moving up? Are the kids going to college? Are they looking to buy a home? Can they buy before they sell? All of these things, I believe, are a real simple discussion with the client to know how we can cater a specific strategy to help them accomplish their goals. So I think number two, most important, is to certainly ask questions. Also, we live in a digital age. So if there's not a very specific plan for this specific client and their specific goals to market to a specific buyer or group of buyers in areas, then I think it's a shortfall. I think that they're expecting that. I think if we're not prepared to offer those services, then it's going to be something that we're not going to continue to have the competitive edge. So the first thing is become an expert. The second thing is ask specific questions and allow them to communicate to you, listen, and formulate a strategy specific to that client, which includes aggressive prospecting to find the buyer, and also in tandem with an aggressive marketing campaign, digitally and print.
Absolutely, totally appreciate. So 3 tips from Matt. Luciane, how about you? What are your tips?
Well, it's interesting, and I agree with Matt. Every client is different. And a skill that it takes time and sometimes a lot of experience to learn is to really listen carefully. Because sometimes your clients may be telling you something, but they don't tell you exactly what they're thinking. And you have to really learn to listen to the words and what they're trying to say. Because you need to connect with them personally and build a rapport emotionally so they feel that they can trust you. And I think that's a skill that anyone can acquire if you're passionate enough and you're genuinely interested in helping other people. Because every single seller I meet, I'm not going there because of the money. I'm going there because I genuinely care and I really want to do an amazing job for them. So I work very, very hard, and I think they know that. So when I go into these meetings, I think what sets me apart is one is my network. Because I've been in the business for 18 years and I work with high net worth individuals and sports entertainment clients. And I know a lot of people in the real estate industry also, the sellers want to list with me because I feel like today more than ever, we are in a business that's a very personality driven business. That's why a lot of agents that are in they're celebrities now and they're in reality shows, why they're so successful is because people want to do business with people they feel like they know. And we need to be able to continuously build our brand. And I've been building my brand for 5 years. So people think, oh, Luciane is so successful. They don't realize how hard I've been working for 5 years building my personal brand.
Yeah.
And every person needs to be out there building their personal brand. Who do you want to be seen and known for? And that's what I've done 5 years ago when I realized that I wanted to be a CEO. I didn't know if it was going to be at an existing firm or my own firm. So, so that's number one. Number two, for me, it's been the technology and the digital marketing. That I'm going to do much more than what the average agent will do in terms of photography, virtual reality, digital marketing. I do SEO, social media campaigns. So I think most agents do this, but they may not do a great job elaborating and explaining these are the things they do. Yeah. And so after I meet with the client, I actually send them my presentation, and I also send them a very detailed strategic marketing strategy that really lay out every single step of the process and what I'm going to do to help them sell. And I think a lot of people don't take the time to do that because it's a lot of time commitment to doing that. But here's the thing. This is one of the biggest investments they probably will ever make, right? It's selling their home. That's where they're going to cash out very often. And we have to take the time to do these things to show them what we're doing to help them sell.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Then the last thing, so the technology, I tell them about how I use blockchain to keep all the information confidential, that's secured, and also that it goes to the Propy site, that people can even pay with cryptocurrency. So they are blown away when I tell them that. And then the last thing is the international exposure, because, you know, a lot of companies have the international exposure. The difference is that I have personal relationships with these companies that I broke bread with in their country. And that was years and a lot of money invested in doing that. So, you know, it's not you know, quick and easy thing to do. I know that, but it's okay. As long as you put your mind into it and you make the commitment and you're confident. And I think confidence is very important as well. So even if you're not confident, just fake it. You know,
fake it till make it.
Yeah, those are the top three, I would say.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I urge everyone who is a realtor here in the room to actually follow Luciane on LinkedIn, because this is where you can see how she promotes with very little videos, how she promotes every single listing, how she's doing this virtually using technology. And at Propy, we strongly believe that realtors will not be disrupted, but those who are not tech driven, they will be. So the only way you can keep up with the business, especially now after the pandemic, it's now proven that those agents that can do virtually finding customers, get exposure, and also close entirely remotely on online, those will be in the industry. And it doesn't matter if you're a millennial realtor or older experienced, so to say, a realtor. We saw that even with different ages, people are getting there, learning Zoom, learning tools, learning DocuSign, and they just get their job done. So this.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, you know, I just got a listing that another realtor had it for 7 months.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's a great example. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the reason why the realtor lost the listing to me was because, one, the agent wasn't communicating consistently with the seller. And, you know, it's always best to over communicate, you know, give them information. If you're communicating too much, they'll tell you. And then the other thing is that the agent didn't do any videos or any virtual open houses. So the seller needs to sell. And he said, I don't know what else to do because this guy is not doing his job. And I feel terrible because I don't want to take business away from anybody. But at the end of the day, I knew I could do it. So on the first open house virtually, we have an offer. you know, so it works. And, you know, you have to add value to your seller and show that you can do it. Technology is definitely important. And to your point, I do believe that we're not going anywhere. At one point, I thought we're gonna not exist anymore, but I'm realizing that we're not going anywhere. The difference is that we have to do more. We have to act as advisors, and we have to be there for the client with every aspect of their needs when it comes to everything: staging, virtual staging, if they need help with movers, like you have to do that. I have a concierge division that I help the clients with all of that. Finding a new realtor to buy somewhere else or sell somewhere else, like all of those things. I want to be one-stop shop for all of my clients' needs. And people see value in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally see that. And also, we're seeing that real estate brokerages are really not going anywhere. And today, the news with iBuyers, they are actually turning into brokerages. I don't know if you've seen that news, but some of the business models cannot sustain the challenging times like right now. So we can see that the iBuyer model is transitioning to a traditional brokerage business as well. Okay, so we have Alex Teo here, our dear COO. Hi, Alex. We cannot hear you. You're muted.
Oh, hi, everyone.
Hi, Alex.
So what a fantastic conversation. I was actually just listening to Matt and Luciane and Natalia here, and you know, and one of the things that really struck me is that, you know, Luciane, you and Matt have absolutely built a substantial business really on building relationships, right? And really putting relationships first, and, you know, really making sure that that connection is there. Because like Luciane, you said, if they don't know you, if they don't know you care, they're not going to do business with you, period, right? And same thing with you, Matt. I know that you take great pride in it. And so what are we doing here on a show about real estate tech, right? With two big relationship people, right? And so I've had, like, you know, I wanted to join to really just, you know, make that connection. How does that connect? And how does, you know, technology, and specific probably some of the strategies we use at Propy, how does that connect with, you know, realtors such as yourself and brokers such as yourself? So I would love, so, you know, so Natalia asked me to join to really share some of the in-depth conversations we've had about, you know, what technology does to enable each and every single one of us to be there in a more instant way, a more transparent way. And that, you know, I think a lot of the brokers like you, Matt and Luciane, that what happens is that we're not saying relationships aren't important. We're saying that with this type of technology, like never before, you can connect in a way with your clients and bring better service. And so that really is the big difference maker. Like, you couldn't do virtual tour before. And I guess we'll get into, you know, offers and some of the strategies that we use here at Propy, and, you know, with everybody that's listening.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. Thank you for this point. And really, we have three relationship gurus here, because I know, Alex, how important it is for you. And whenever we go on at Inman together, every second person approaches Alex and saying her, "I love you." It's been just heartbreaking to see these strong relationships that you have been building in the industry. Okay, so now we will talk about the strategy on Propy offers, how you can bring the Propy offer during the discussion with the seller, because both Luciane and Matt, they have just started to put their listings on offers, and they are putting on MLS the link on Propy. But when they go to the meeting with the seller, obviously it's a question whether they need to talk about it, because obviously right now, where you're talking that you're doing virtual tours, that you have a great exposure on social media, but whether it's a good time to mention Propy offers, that they will have instant views of the offers, that's the question. And because we had a number of questions from other realtors, I really wanted Alex to share her insights on that.
Oh, I would love to. Actually, I would like to bring Matt in on this conversation because, you know, Matt, if you remember, you were going on a listing appointment one night, and you know, and it was and we were talking about how do you tackle as a broker, as an agent, the one question that every single seller asks you when you're sitting at the kitchen table trying to get a listing, and that question is, why should I hire you? Why should I hire you as opposed to your competitor or someone else? And we mentioned, you know, how having a technology like Propy can, where you can answer that question in a way that you've never been able to answer before. And so, Matt, do you recall that? What were some of the things that we talked about?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually preparing for a listing presentation, as you remember, Alex and Natalia, and it was perfect timing because my business partner, Victor, and I wanted to be able to have this as a part of our presentation. So by discussing with this potential client, and hopefully will become a client in the next few days, one of the issues that they had in the past, and they hadn't sold too many properties, but one of the issues that they had, and I think this is a coincidence, but it's one more question, right, from the points that I was discussing earlier, ask questions. One of the issues they had was lack of communication, and Luciane mentioned that as well. So I think that that's commonplace, lack of service or lack of commitment or lack of communication, as Luciane meant. As she mentioned, over communicates probably the best course of action. Propy solves part of that problem in a grand scale. So being able to be informed and keep your clients informed, they were amazed, just to put it lightly. So it wasn't just that, it was the ability to be able to have everybody involved on the transaction, right? Whether it's myself, the buyer's agent, the buyer, the seller, and of course the listing agent as well. So yes, they were blown away. It took me a little bit to get through it. I hadn't perfected the pitch, but they were so blown away by the tech and the capabilities that it didn't really cause any problems with the presentation. So I think if anything, it certainly helped.
Right. One of the things, if you've seen a Propy demo on offer management, one of our biggest feature is giving sellers real-time access to offers that are coming into the broker. So many of the sellers wait for brokers to check their emails, read their emails to know what's happening. And I always have this example, which is, you know, it's crazy to me during COVID. I know when Postmates, when my food is going to get to my front door more exactly than when I know my transaction, what's happening with my transaction. And so Propy is really, you know, changes the game when it comes to that. And one of the things Matt and you are talking about is that wouldn't it be great if you sat there with your sellers and, you know, you preloaded Propy so that while you're sitting there with a listing appointment, they can literally get dings on their phones with offers coming in real time like that. So it's just that capability and that instant transparency. And you know what? I really think that Propy is not for all agents, but it is for agents who's not afraid, like Luciane, you and Matt, to have transparency, to up the game and the standards of what it means to be a great realtor, you know, and that's why, you know, we wanted to have the two of you on this and because you are not scared, you know, the two of you are of that breed of brokers that Propy tries to aspire to serve, which is, you know, the realtors who aren't afraid to up the status quo. You don't want to be ordinary, you want to be extraordinary. so that's part of it. And then what about you, Luciane? Have you used offers? What is your take on some of the strategies?
Yes, so I just started using offers and I actually added to MLS, and I have an offer coming in today through the offer link, because instead of the agent writing up the offer through a Word document and then saving it, changing it to PDF and then emailing, it's like they're literally just filling in the box with their iPhone and clicking submit, and I get it and my seller gets it, right? So it's easy to use. We don't even tell people it's on blockchain because a lot of people don't understand blockchain. They get very nervous. But we know it's
even agents get nervous. So I totally understand you,
yeah.
Luciane.
So I usually say to them, look, it's just like using DocuSign. Have you signed something in DocuSign before? It is that easy because people get overwhelmed. But it's okay because everything takes time and I'm patient. But yeah, so I'm starting to use it. And it's definitely a great opportunity for an easy way to communicate with the agents and with the sellers.
Fantastic, great. Okay, so we'll have final words from you, Matt and Luciane, and we have a question here from Joseph. Very refreshing, good info. Thank you, Joseph. What are Matthew and Luciane's thoughts on the very large, mature brokerages getting up to speed with real estate tech?
Do you want to go first, Matt, or you want me to go first?
It's up to you. Sure, I'll go. So the question was, what's the advice and how to get large brokerages up to speed on real estate tech?
No, I think it's opposite. What is the competition between independent brokerages or smaller brokerages and the one that are mature and they're getting up to speed with real estate tech, with technology? Probably, Joseph, you refer to Compass and alike.
I have an answer. I have an opinion on that. I say that we can't wait. You know, like we can't wait for them to catch up. And listen, guys, I think like bigger brokerages, they're big, and you know, I think change is going to take time. And the good thing is that I think most of them are striving to, you know, make that happen. But when you're moving like, you know, hundreds and thousands of brokers, it's going to be hard. And so, you know, that's why, you know, when we see agents that are looking at, you know, the different technology, you know, running your business, you just can't wait. And, you know, you need to plug in where you can to create that extraordinary experience for your clients now. Yeah, because, go ahead. Yes.
Sorry about that. I thought you were done.
No, go ahead.
Well, the reason why I started my company was because I felt that most of the big brokerages were not up to speed. And I interviewed with about 40 companies before I opened my company because I wanted to have a company that it was luxurious, that had technology, okay, and it was virtual, and it didn't exist. So that's why I said, if it doesn't exist, let me create it. And I don't think it's really the big brokerage's fault that they're not up with technology. It's just that I know just to get my agents, I manage thousands of agents. Just to get my agents to send out email newsletters, it took me 3 years sitting at their desk and showing them step by step, and they still wouldn't do it, only 30% adoption. So that's part of the problem, is that most people, they just don't want to change. So imagine these brokerages have probably a lot of different ideas, but when you're changing, you have to get adoption. And that's why it takes so long for them to be able to do it. But, you know, and also when you're independent and you don't have all this red tape to go through, it's a lot easier to get things done and approved. And that's another reason why I wanted to own my own company, because I was tired of the red tape and having to go through 10 different approvals to get something done that was going to make the company millions of dollars.
Great answer. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with both Alex and Luciane. I think it's important for me. I had some runway ahead of me. I needed to catch up, and I was just intentional about learning. And as I mentioned before, and Natalia and Alex and Propy team, you know, my broker Irving, he's very tech driven, and our firm as a whole has been involved with advanced technology. I wouldn't fear anybody, but don't fear your competition and what you think they may have the capabilities to do. Stay true to yourself, and obviously educate yourself on how you can better serve your clients. You're not gonna win them all, although we all want to, but you can provide value and leverage the technology that you're familiar with in order to serve them better.
Absolutely. And the fact that you're here on the webinar, learning from those tech-driven experts how to improve, how to utilize technology for your consumer, really, like to make the life of the consumer when they buy one of the most valuable assets in their life, that's a great sign that you want to bring the industry change. And also we are seeing that actually the industry is changing. The fact that National Association of Realtors supported DocuSign e-signatures, they lobbied for the changes so that in real estate transactions, we have e-signatures adopted. That's also a big, bold move. And as Propy was going through the National Association of Realtors REACH program, the accelerator program also shows that the industry does want to adopt the technology. But it's obvious that smaller teams, smaller companies can move faster than the big incumbents. So obviously it's just a matter of time, the big and smaller industry players to catch up. Okay, well, I'm seeing the questions from Michael on the willingness to understand more about the offer management. And in the end of the call, we'd be happy to go through offer management just for 5 minutes. So those who want to look at the product, please stay online, and either I will share my screen, or maybe Luciana, do you want to share your screen in the end?
Yeah, I could do it.
Yeah, I know that you are never afraid to share your screen and show how you work. I really love, Luciana.
There's enough business for everybody. And I think that's another thing also, like, let's help each other, you know, because you never know tomorrow. So that if I'm not here supporting an agent today, you never know, that agent I may help today may help me tomorrow. So I think that everybody should always be willing to share and help each other.
That's a great approach. And I also loved your tip regarding the presentation. Do invest your time in presentation. Put the tools that you are using there, because it will play a great role right now. We're hearing a lot of complaints from sellers and buyers from that they cannot do the transactions right now. So for them, this list will really be important. And Luciane, if at some point you will be willing to share it on your social media or doing more posts, I'm sure the folks here will follow you and learn from you even more.
Well, I do want to add something, Natalia. You did talk about having pre-list, and one of the things that we are working on is, you know, having pre-listing where we can, you know, help with adding this technology to agents. And, you know, ultimately the goal of this webinar and of the goal of Propy is to help all the agents that, you know, work with us or use the Propy system to win more listings. And so that's a part of it, of, you know, step-by-step on how, you know, when you have this technology, what you can do when you go through that listing presentation at the kitchen table, or have that conversation with a seller and tell them why they should hire you. So that's something that Propy will be coming out with.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alex. Okay, Matt and Luciane, final words before we go to a small demo.
Luciane.
You know, I think, like you guys have mentioned it a little bit earlier, you know, don't be afraid of your competition. I think that competition is really healthy. It keeps us on our toes and delivering more. And just do the right thing. Be ethical. If it's gonna keep you up at night, don't do it, you know? And I think that if you are working hard and you have integrity and you work hard, there's no reason why you can't be successful. It may take long, because look, we all know this business is hard because there's a lot of things we can't control, right? Maybe an inspection, something goes wrong you weren't aware of, or maybe, you know, a seller had a change of heart. There's always something going wrong, but just stick to it. And the other thing is that always be prospecting, because it takes 2 to 3 months for things to start, you know, coming in and closing. So if you are working with clients and you stop prospecting, then 3 months you're going to have nothing. And sometimes I feel a bit overwhelmed because I'm always prospecting. But that's why now I've been able to do so much business, is because I'm always prospecting. Even I have all these clients, I'm with all these deals, but I'm still prospecting, because I know when I close these clients, I have other clients in the pipeline. That's my tip, my final thoughts.
That's a great tip. That is a great tip. And I think that that's perfect advice. I definitely agree with you. I think that it's important, especially to Joseph, with the question with respect to how do you get a big brokerage or a big firm to be able to get involved with tech? The best course of action is just to use Propy to your advantage and lead by example. I mean, that's how our firm is evolving. My business partner and I just kind of jumped right in, and we were blown away by the opportunities. And so I think with respect to what Luciane said and the opportunities that you now have to increase the value that you're adding to your clients, play the long game, do the right thing, and continue to believe in yourself.
Awesome, fantastic. This is a great, great ending. Very exciting and motivating. So thank you very, very much for everyone being here. We will do the small demo. So those of you who want to stay and look at Propy offers that Luciane will share, please stay. Those who want to join next time on our webinar, follow the news on email. We will share with you our next guest tomorrow. And thank you so much for being here.